Grizz Nation, welcome into game 82. Holy crap, this season has flown by, but this is the final hurrah for today. We're going up against the defending champs. The Denver Nuggets are in town for the last game of the season. Katy Winge joins me to talk about this one. And Katy, this is not so big of a game for the Grizzlies. Every single NBA team is playing today, and there are some big implications for this game for the Denver Nuggets when it comes to standings in the West.
Yeah, I think this is the first time ever in NBA history, if I read that correctly, that game 82 is a three-way tie for the number one seed in the West, which is so wild. Obviously, the Nuggets are coming off of a really tough loss, one where they controlled their own destiny. They could have held on to the number one seed in the Western Conference, and things just kind of fell apart in the second half against San Antonio. So this is a little bit of a what do we do now game for the Denver Nuggets. It's obviously, depending on how Oklahoma City plays, depending on how Minnesota plays, everybody plays at the same time. So there's no way to really gauge who's doing what and how the games are going. So we'll see kind of how the Nuggets can bounce back and what their mentality is going into this one.
Yes. So the Nuggets have won 3 of their last 4, as Katy alluded to. That was a tough loss to the Spurs. They were up by 23 points. And then that buzzer beater, like, I don't know. I watched it on Twitter about 25 times. But you obviously want to be rolling going into the playoffs. There's my dog. And the Nuggets, like you said, a 3-way tie. It's OKC and Timberwolves. Let's talk about who's in and who's out for each team, because that's going to, a big chunk of it.
Sure. He just wants to talk about it.
You know what? He's just ready for this game too.
Yes.
It's going to determine, a lot of play here. The Grizzlies have 13 guys on their injury report, as they did against the Lakers just 2 nights ago. And although they have 13 guys on the injury report, they still came within a last-second shot with the Lakers. It was just a 3-point game. With 2 guys having career nights, and Gigi and Jake, the 2 actual full-time NBA contracted guys, having major nights with 31 and 28. But there's also a lot of injuries on the other side too, which is kind of nice if you're a Grizzlies fan.
Well, first of all, Kelsey, I don't know how you've been able to manage, excuse me, all of the injuries that you guys have dealt with. Truly, just from a covering the team standpoint, I've never heard of 13 people on the injury report. When I was looking at the injury report today, because the Nuggets have quite a lengthy one as well, it was like a full page of the website with Nuggets and Grizz. Here's all the players that are questionable, probable, all the things. So on our side of things, all 5 of our starters are questionable. Michael Porter Jr. has not been feeling good. He's one where I'm I'm really not sure if he's going to go or not. Nikola Jokic has been on the injury report the past handful of games, and he's played all of them. So I think everybody kind of has bumps and bruises at this point of the season. And again, depending on how the Nuggets want to handle this game, that will be very indicative based on who plays and who doesn't. I would imagine that most of the starters will play, at least in the first half, to see how things are going. Reggie Jackson's also on the injury report. Zeke Naji's also on the injury report. So again, very lengthy. A lot of players have been playing some really big minutes for the Nuggets, are not feeling 100%. So just something to keep an eye on, something to keep in mind.
Very much like bumps and bruises at the end of the year.
Yeah.
When you say that Nikola Jokic has played all of these games, even though he's been questionable, let's zero in on him, because I think if you're a Grizzlies fan, 1, you're coming because it's the last game of the season. 2, you're coming to see one of the best players in the entire world play. He's averaging just under 26 points a game, just over 12 rebounds per game, 9 assists. What is so special about him this year? What have you seen?
Well, he's likely going to win his 3rd MVP too, which is just wild. I think people have... This is a season for him where people have been unable to look away. And I think there's been this narrative around I've heard people talking about how it's not great for the NBA for him to win another MVP, but it's just, you can't argue against it at this point. You know what I mean? Luka Doncic, great season. If he gets it, phenomenal, well-deserved. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, great season. If he gets it, well-deserved. And this whole Nuggets team has kind of spoken in that way too. Coach Malone has said it. Nikola has said it himself of if somebody else gets it, great. However, the greatness of Nikola Jokic is undeniable at this point. It just is when you think about value and the definition of value and what a player brings to a team, Nikola Jokic is the walking definition of that. And so you see it in his stats. everything the Nuggets do, they run through him. I mean, like you see that in like he leads the NBA in like touches and passes per game. It just is so wild to think about this big Serbian center being the reason why the Nuggets are as good as they are, and a big reason why they've been able to, you know, fight for that number 1 seed late in the season. So I think his impact is, again, undeniable, and he's so fun to watch. There's a highlight play every single night. You never know when it's coming or where it's going to be coming from. And the best part is he makes everybody around him better. So I've run out of superlatives for him, truly. He just is greatness embodied.
I think it's so fun to watch him too, because like we have this with Jaw a little bit where like when Jaw's playing, like you never know where the highlight's going to come. Like, yes, it's most likely going to be a dunk, but he had like weird, like really cool passes or like a really cool block. And Nikola Jokic is very much the same. Like he could have a highlight doing anything and I would not be surprised. Like anything.
He had like the last game he had one where he was like, did a behind the back, and then he did a behind the back pass to Aaron Gordon in transition. And I'm like, you're 7 feet tall and you're playing point guard and like starting the break in transition and making a play like that. It's insane. It's so fun.
Yeah. Okay, let's end with just reiterating the importance of today's game. So just in case you have not been listening for this whole thing, tonight's game really means nothing for the Grizzlies. They've been eliminated from the playoffs. It means a lot for the players, obviously, but it has major implications for this Nuggets team. They could or could not clinch 1, 2, or 3, or 1 or 3, right?
1, 2, or 3. Yeah. And that's kind of the craziest part is that the top 3, so Minnesota, OKC, and the Nuggets, none of them control their own destiny. Everything is based off of other teams and how they finish. Crazy. Yes. So, and it also makes that Spurs loss that much more disappointing because the Nuggets did have a chance to do what they wanted to do. And especially coming on, it's like the last 3 games have been a roller coaster for Denver. You beat Minnesota in a game that is like, wow, we have all the power. We have all the control. If we win this game, we then control our own destiny. Huge win. They go into San Antonio and uncharacteristic loss for the Nuggets. They've been so good in clutch. Nikola Jokic missed shots that he usually makes. Their defense in clutch situations is one of the best in the NBA, and they just were unable to execute down the stretch. Wemby was phenomenal. So now it's like, how do you bounce back from that? You were at the highest of highs, lowest of lows. How do you kind of even things out for game 82 and play the type of basketball that you want to be playing going into the playoffs? But again, it's one of those things where it's like, if the Nuggets lose, then they get 3rd.
Okay.
If they win, then it's dependent upon Minnesota and OKC. If one of them loses, which Minnesota's playing Phoenix, that's kind of the game to watch because both of those 2 teams are playing for something. OKC is playing Dallas, and I think Dallas is not playing any other guys, to my understanding. I think they're locked into the 5th seed. So that one is a little bit more predictable. So the Minnesota game is the one that I think everybody's going to have like screen and screen side by side watching while we're watching the Nuggets play the Grizz.
And both of those games tip off at 2:30 Central Time. So we'll be watching it same time, playing at the same time. Grizzlies fans, get there nice and early. Again, it's a 2:30 tip. Katy, thank you so much for the entire season. I hope you know that we are, at least, I mean, I'm going to speak for Memphis. We're cheering you guys on.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm sorry that your season went the way it did, but I do think that there are really good things in store for you guys once you get healthy. So yeah, exactly. This is one that you just kind of got to power through. And yeah, what a fun season. Game 82. It's finally here.
Let's do it.